Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna everyone. Welcome to today's study of Srimad Bhagavad-Gita. Today we are studying from 9th chapter entitled The Most Confidential Knowledge, text 34. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mamevasya yuktaivam atmanam matparayana. Word to word meaning: matmana, always thinking of me. Bhava, become. Mat, my. Bhaktaha, devotee. Mat, my. Yaji, worshipper. Mam, unto me. Namaskuru, offer obeisances. Mam, unto me. Eva, completely. Yes, yasi, you will come. Yukta, being absorbed. Evam, thus. Atmanam, your soul. Matparayana, devoted to me. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: engage your mind always in thinking of me. Become my devotee, offer obeisances to me and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. Purport: in this verse, it is clearly indicated that Krishna consciousness is the only means of being delivered from the clutches of this contaminated material world. Sometimes, unscrupulous commentators distort the meaning of what it is clearly stated here. That all devotional service should be offered to Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Unfortunately, unscrupulous commentators divert the mind of the reader to that which is not at all feasible. Such commentators do not know that there is no difference between Krishna's mind and Krishna. Krishna is not an ordinary human being. He is absolute truth. His body, his mind, he himself are one and absolute. It is stated in the Kurma Purana as it is quoted by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami in his Anubhashya comments on Chaitanya Charitamrita, 5th chapter Adilila, verses 41 to 48. Deha dehe vibho yam neshwara vidyate kvachit. This means that there is no difference in Krishna, the Supreme Lord, between himself and his body. But because the commentators do not know the science of Krishna, they hide Krishna and divide his personality from his mind or from his body. Although this is sheer ignorance of the science of Krishna, some men make profit out of the misleading people. There are some who are demoniac. They also think of Krishna, but enviously, just like King Kamsa, Krishna's uncle. He was also thinking of Krishna always, but he thought of Krishna as his enemy. He was always in anxiety, wondering when Krishna would come to kill him. That kind of thinking will not help us. One should be thinking of Krishna in devotional love, that is bhakti. One should cultivate the knowledge of Krishna continuously. What is that favorable cultivation? It is to learn from the bona fide teacher. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we have several times explained that his body is not material, but is eternal blissful knowledge. This kind of talk about Krishna will help one become a devotee. Understanding Krishna otherwise from the wrong source will prove fruitless. One should therefore engage his mind in the eternal form, the primeval form of Krishna, with conviction in his heart that Krishna is the Supreme. He should engage himself in worship. There are hundreds of thousands of temples in India for the worship of Krishna, and devotional service is practiced there. When such practice is made, one has to offer obeisances to Krishna. One should lower his head before the deity and engage his mind, his body, his activities, everything. That will make one fully absorbed in Krishna without deviation. This will help one transfer to Krishna Loka. One should not be deviated by unscrupulous commentators. One must engage in the 9 different processes of devotional service, beginning with hearing and chanting about Krishna. Pure devotional service is the highest achievement of human society. The 7th and 8th chapters of Bhagavad-Gita have explained pure devotional service to the Lord that is free from speculative knowledge, mystic yoga and fruitive activities. Those who are not purely sanctified may be attracted by different features of the Lord, like the impersonal Brahmajyoti and localized Paramatma, but a pure devotee directly takes to the service of the Supreme Lord. There is a beautiful poem about Krishna in which it is clearly stated that any person who is engaged in worship of demigods is most unintelligent and cannot achieve at any time the supreme award of Krishna. The devotee in the beginning may sometimes fall from the standard, but still he should be considered superior to all other philosophers and yogis. One who always engages in Krishna consciousness should be understood to be perfectly saintly person. His accidental non-devotional activities will diminish and he will soon be situated without any doubt in complete perfection. The pure devotee has no actual chance to fall down because the Supreme Godhead personally takes care of his pure devotees. Therefore, the intelligent person should take directly to the process of Krishna consciousness and happily live in this material world. He will eventually receive the supreme award of Krishna. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to the 9th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad-Gita in the matter of the most confidential knowledge. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sakrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Sha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Shri Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanustute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you everyone. Okay. So we are seeing in this chapter, this is the last verse of this chapter, chapter 9. And we see this is the treasure box of the whole Bhagavad-Gita. Because here where Krishna is describing about pure devotional service. And even if we analyze just this translation of this verse, Krishna is actually asking us only 4 things that we have to be actively doing. One is to engage the mind in thinking about Him, become His devotee, means consciously becoming His devotee. 3, offering obeisances to Him and worshipping Him. And what is the result of that? When someone is doing this formula, practicing this formula, they become completely absorbed in Krishna. And then they will go back to Krishna. So we see here Krishna is telling us we have to engage our body, mind and words in his service. And Prabhupada, in the opening statement of the purport, he says that how Krishna consciousness is the only way that can help us to get out of this material contamination, by actively engaging our mind and our words and our body, so that we are completely absorbed in him, and then we go back. And then Prabhupada becomes heavy on the commentators who are not authorized, and then who deprive Krishna's position. They give their own interpretation, saying that, Krishna and Krishna's mind are different, Krishna and Krishna's body are different. So, and then Prabhupada quotes from the Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, saying that how in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, according to the Shastra, it is Krishna is never different from his body, he himself. So we see the authority of the statement of the Shastra, and it is defeated by the Guru, it is defeated by the sadhus, and it is also defeated by the Shastric evidences. And what is the way to learn? Prabhupada again says that one has to learn the favorable cultivation of the bhakti through the Guru itself. So what is the speciality of the Guru? Guru is one who knows, one who has no desire to enjoy in this material world, and who is completely Krishna conscious. And Sukadeva Goswami explains to Parikshit. Parikshit Maharaj glorifies Sukadeva Goswami, saying that Nivritta Tarsha Rupagiyamanat Bhavav Sadochotra Manubhiramat Kauttama Shloka Gunanuvatat Pumam Viraje Vina Pasugnat. So in this particular shloka, let me check, sorry, 1 second. It is the Sukadeva Goswami who is explaining the glories of learning Krishna Katha. And what is the effect of learning Krishna Katha in the disciplic succession is that one automatically gets out of this cycle of birth and death. Sorry, I forgot my book in the last minute. I prepared my notes and I forgot. Sorry, my bad. Yes, it's So this is a glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the Parampara system. So we have to see that the Lord is always glorified, and that glorification we are taking in the Parampara system. So when someone does this glorification, what is his character? His character is that he is not interested in this material world. His interest is to go back to Godhead and take people back there. And also Krishna Katha is acting as a right medicine for the conditioned soul. Why? Because it is curing the disease of the conditioned soul. What is the disease of the conditioned soul? It is caught up in the cycle of birth, death, old age and disease. And this is a disease because the soul never undergoes any kind of changes. But somehow it's placed into this illusion that it is imaginarily thinking that it has to go through this cycle of birth and death. But listening to Krishna Katha, one actually comes out of this cycle of birth and death. And then Prabhupada mentions that how one has to cultivate this favorably from the teacher who will teach us how Krishna, his body, is non-different, and what is the nature of Krishna's body. It is eternal and blissful knowledge. And by listening to those talks, one actually becomes a devotee. Otherwise, we won't be able to learn about it. And so what does the role of the Guru? The Guru here also, he is giving the instruction through the oral reception. So when someone hears through the oral reception, takes in this medicine through the oral reception, it affects our heart, which is diseased or conditioned. And Prabhupada gives an example of a small medicine that when it is taken intravenously, it acts through the whole body. Similarly, when oral reception is taken through the ear from the bona fide spiritual master, it acts on our heart, it acts on our spiritual, our conditioned nature, and we revive our spiritual nature. And that is one part. And the another part, how is that when someone hears, what happens to them? Their mind is engaged. Normally, our minds are engaged in the sense gratification, so it takes away all our attention. For this, there is an analogy given by Prithu Maharaj, saying that if someone is his mind is completely absorbed in sense gratification, his meditation on the sense objects, it will carry away his real consciousness. Just like there is kusha grass, big stalks of kusha grass on the banks of the river. So what is this kusha grass doing? It's slowly sucking up all the water from the pond. And no one even notices. So similarly, if someone is completely engaged in the sense gratification, they are far away from their real consciousness. So here Krishna is detecting what is our problem. And he's saying that first you engage, always thinking about me. And then he says, then you become my devotee. And then you offer obeisances to me and then worship me. And by doing so, one becomes a devotee. Bad. So when it comes to the topic of thinking, so this is also relating to one of the 9 processes of devotional service, which is the smaranam. But smaranam comes only after hearing and chanting. And then in purport to 7, 5, 23, 24, Prabhupada says there are 5 kinds of remembering. The 5 kinds of remembering is that, one second. One is conducting research into worship of a particular form of the Lord. So one is actually thinking, this is a particular form of the Lord. They're thinking about the form of the Lord. And then second is concentrating the mind on the subject and withdrawing the mind's activity, thinking, feeling and willing from all other subjects. So first is you concentrate your mind on the form of the Lord. Second, you automatically withdraw from the sense objects and also its activities, thinking, feeling and willing. We are engaging our thinking, feeling, willing into the spiritual process. And the third, concentrating upon a particular form of the Lord. This is called meditation. And 4, concentrating one's mind continuously on the form of the Lord. This is Dhruvanusmriti. And 5, awakening our real position. So just by remembering, someone is going through a process of change of their mind and heart. And that's why Krishna is emphasizing that we have to engage our mind in thinking of me. And then what happens when someone is concentratedly engaging their mind, they automatically become devotee of the Lord. And then they offer obeisances and then they can engage in the worship. And we also see in the case when Krishna enters the forest of Vrindavan, this is in the Paugandilila, the first day he's entering into the forest of Vrindavan, all the trees are thinking, oh, we are so unfortunate. We are so unfortunate that because of our past misdeeds, we got this material body of a tree. So we are not able to move anywhere. We can't see the Lord because they don't have eyes. We can't see the Lord. We can't move with the Lord. Wherever He is going, we cannot accompany the Lord. But they're thinking intensely, how is that I can serve the Lord? And then what does Krishna in reciprocation he does? He understands the feelings of these trees of the Vrindavan forest. And he actually mercifully glances at them first. And then out of ecstasy and out of this pure love and devotion for the Lord, the trees are blossoming with so many flowers and the sap is falling down, the twigs, the newly grown twigs are forming then and there, and there are fruits. So, and the Lord picks up some of the twigs and the flowers and he puts into his turban. So there is a reciprocation just by thinking. Although they cannot see, although they cannot move, although they cannot accompany the Lord, but just by sincerely thinking about the Lord, they are actually getting that reciprocation from the Lord. And Krishna, not only that, he also glorifies their pure devotional service before Balaram and before other cowherd boys, how these trees are actually the pure devotees of your Lordship. And then we also see a similar example given by Prahlad Maharaj. He says, in his prayers to Nrsimha Dev, he says that one may possess wealth, one may have an aristocratic family, one may have beauty or austerity, education, sensory expertise, luster, influence, physical strength, diligence, intelligence, and mystic yoga power. But none of these will actually capture the Lord. What will capture is only the pure devotional service. And he gives an example of Gajendra. We know the pastime of Gajendra, where Gajendra was drunk, and then he goes into the milk ocean, and then he thought that he can enjoy this material, his material senses, and he thought that he is the king. But as soon as the crocodile caught his leg, he started fighting. And it is described in the Bhagavatam that the fight went for 1,000 years. And after 1,000 years, Gajendra was losing his sensory ability to fight anymore with the crocodile, because he doesn't belong to the land. He doesn't belong to the water. He's a land animal. And he's thinking, why am I in this situation? He's deliberating upon his situation. And then finally he comes to the conclusion that whatever is happening is because of the providence, is because of the will of the providence. And then understanding and accepting the will of the providence, he actually starts thinking about the Lord and offering obeisances mentally to the Lord with so many prayers. And the first prayer and the first mantra he chants is Om Namo Vasudevaya Namaha. And then he lists so many, he glorifies the Lord in different ways. And what does the Lord do? And the Lord also, it is said, he comes at the speed of his desire, which is more than the speed of someone's mind. He was rushing on the Garuda to save Gajendra. So here it is an animal, but it's performing pure devotional service. And again, the Lord is just considering the intentions of the jiva. It's not only the externals. He is seeing the internal. What is the change of heart? What is the internal mood that is you are going through? And Prabhupada gives an example here that there are thousands, hundreds and thousands of temples in India where worship of Krishna and devotional service is practiced. So, and what is the easy way to do devotional service? Just come to the temple, you offer obeisances, and you, when you bow down your head before the deity, you are actually engaging your mind, body and activities, and that is devotional service. It is no big formula. It is a very simple formula. And then we see Prabhupada's mood in his 7 purposes of ISKCON. In the 3rd purpose, Prabhupada says, to bring the members of the society together with each other and nearer to Krishna, and thus to develop the idea within members and the humanity at large that each soul is part and parcel of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So his mood is reflected back again aligned along with Krishna's teachings. That practicing Krishna consciousness is so easy. Just we need to come, we have to think about the Lord, we have to offer obeisances, just become devotee and worship Him. And we see such an elaborate worship we do here by dressing the deities, by taking care of the deities. And we cook for them, we put them to rest, we celebrate their festivals, we celebrate the appearances of the lordships. So this is an elaborate worship. What is this to do? It is to engage our mind again back and saying or stating that how pure devotional service is so easy. We don't need big formulas. And we also see, sorry, I wanted to say one more point. Yeah, Prabhupada was saying that, Krishna mentioned this same verse twice in Bhagavad-Gita, 934 and 1865, with the same idea of making people understand that you no need to do any other ritualistic methods or yoga mystic powers. You no need to acquire any of those, but just engage in the simple worship. So someone may say that, what if I'm not perfect at my devotional service? Then again Krishna states, Sarva dharma parichacha mamekam sharanam raja. Aham tvam sarva papapyo mokshasyami ma suchaha. So I will take care of you. You don't worry about what you do, what you have. Maybe you might be thinking that I have so many accumulated sinful reactions. But you don't worry, I will take care. You just come to me and just surrender. So it is a promise again and again that's given by Krishna. And what is the urgency to practice pure devotional service is that with every rising and setting of the sun, we all are walking towards the expiry date. That's our death. But what is the difference between a devotee and a non-devotee? A devotee who is practicing, they're actually walking towards Krishna with each rising and setting of the sun. But whereas one who is not engaged in devotional service, he's just walking towards death. So we have to take this simple formula and engage our mind, body and words. And by doing so, we conquer even the one who is not conquerable. Another example we see in Krishna Leela, Aghasura. He is the most envious creature. He envied Krishna and his boyfriends, and he wanted to cause harm for the whole Braj village. He was thinking that if I kill Krishna and his cowherd boyfriends, the whole Braj village will become dried up because they lost their loved ones, and sooner or later it will also vanquish. This is the intention of Aghasura. But because the cowherd boys were thinking that, okay, this is such a wonderful cave, we want to go and enjoy. And because that gave a little sporting enjoyment to the cowherd boys, what did the Lord do? Lord just didn't kill Aghasura, but he gave him Sarupya Mukti. This is another amazing quality of Krishna. So we become Krishna conscious by knowing about him only. And that is facilitated for us very easily in the teachings by Srila Prabhupada in Bhagavad-Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. It is not so difficult for us. Our endeavor is to only study these books and appreciate these books and practically bring these books live into our lives. Who would else can describe Lord's such mercy? We see here Prabhupada is so heavy on those unauthorized commentators because they don't understand Krishna. Because they don't have any appreciation or they don't have any realization of what is Krishna's nature, they cannot write anything beyond it. But we have that facility, and it is given by Srila Prabhupada in the form of his books. And Prabhupada is also saying that a pure devotee will take up to the service of Supreme Lord. he will engage in the service of the Supreme Lord. He wouldn't take up to impersonal Brahmanism or Paramatma. So that's why this chapter is the most essence of the Bhagavad-Gita, because it is describing there is no hard and fast rule for you to become a devotee. Whether you are a worshipper of a demigod, whether you have accidental fall downs, or whether you belong to lower birth, like Vaishya Sudra Stri, doesn't matter. Even animals are performing, even trees are performing devotional service. So this devotional service is so easy. And it's another example. As Ganges flow, it doesn't consider who is dipping into her. Whether you're a pious or impious, it will flow and it will allow you to dip in. So whoever comes to Krishna, he will allow you to become a pure devotee, provided we take advantage of it. And one more thing, sorry. Yes. And Prabhupada is also mentioning that, one who is always engages in Krishna consciousness should be all understood to be perfectly saintly person, in spite of his accidental non-devotional activities, because they will diminish and he will come back to the complete perfection. And only by the process of Krishna consciousness one will live happily in material world, and at the same time he will receive the supreme award of Krishna by going back to Krishna. And Burujan Prabhu, he has recorded one lecture, a purport of Srimad Bhagavatam in Surrender Unto Me. I want to read this for you. The complete purpose of this material world will be fulfilled when we resume our spiritual identities and go back home, back to Godhead. The very simple method for doing this prescribed by Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sarva Dharma Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. One should be neither pious nor impious. One should be a devotee and surrendered to the lotus feet of Krishna. So it is not a consideration whether you are a pious or impious. You just need to be a devotee. This surrendering process is also very easy. Even a child can perform it. Man mana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. One must always simply think of Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One should become Krishna's devotee, worship him and offer obeisances to him. Thus one should engage all activities of his life in the service of Lord Krishna. This morning in the Guru Puja there were new devotees who were lining up and they were offering flowers to Srila Prabhupada. And then they just offered flowers and they came back. And then I saw Mother Daivi Shakti was telling the new people, we could sense it. Mother Daivi Shakti stopped them and she said, offer obeisances. And they offered obeisances. And I was thinking how our society is full of these teachers who are teaching pure devotional service in the simplest way. Just by offering, who would think that we will be able to perform devotional service? And it's the most easiest process that we can practice and follow. And in this regard also I was thinking how important is to spread this teachings of Bhagavad-Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada says that if someone is knowledgeable, their knowledge has to be given out. If we have knowledge, we have to give out. Otherwise, it's like a flames of fire but enclosed in the walls of a water pot. It is of no use. So if we have knowledge, we have to go out and give. And Prabhupada says in this purport of the 10th canto of the 2nd chapter, where it was in comparison to Devaki when she was in the prison house, when she was bearing Krishna in her womb, she became so effulgent. But only Kamsa could see that effulgence, but none others outside, because she is in the prison of the Kamsa. And Prabhupada compares that Why India was lacking behind? Because this knowledge is not given out. But now I am happy, sorry, I'm just paraphrasing of the purport. I'm happy that there is a success because the Bhagavad-Gita is being attempted to be preached out. So as an ISKCON society and as an individual, it is our duty, it is our prime duty that we take these teachings and reach out to people and give this knowledge. One is people are changing by this knowledge. They are getting benefited. And two, it is establishing Krishna's position as it is. And this is the way we can always think about him as well. Maybe we won't be able be remembering Lord's form all the time. But by engaging and thinking about the service, how to carry out this service, will also help us to come to Krishna. Those are some of the points I was thinking. Just to wrap up, we have seen the importance of Krishna mentioning this verse. It's only 4 simple instructions which becomes a perfect formula for us to become pure devotees. One is to engage our mind, always thinking of Him, becoming His devotee, offering obeisances to Him, and worshipping Him. By doing so, we actually become completely absorbed in Him. And we have seen from different examples how thinking has different levels. And we have seen the example of the trees of the Vrindavan and the Gajendra. Just by thinking and offering obeisances, they actually reach Krishna. And we also have seen how Aghasura, although envious, but still he was able to get Sarupya Mukti because this is the nature of Krishna. And such elaborate descriptions describing Krishna, Krishna's nature, Krishna's quality, Krishna's paraphernalia, antaraj, everything is non-different from Him. We can learn only from the pure devotees, and there is no other way. So if anyone has any questions or comments, please, and if there are any corrections, I'll be happy to be corrected. I forgot my book. Any questions or comments?
Prabhupada have said in 18th chapter that Manmana Bhav is the conclusion of all Vedic literature. Only Manmana Bhav.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Prabhu. Anything else? Otherwise, we stop here. Thank you so much. Srimad Bhagavad-Gita ki Jai.